Hey, I am Neelesh. I will be presenting Shape today. I'm working with the Cisco Cloud Innovation team. So developers are going toward microservices, but they are facing a lot of challenges out here. So they face challenge in development environment, build environment, and deploy environment. So we looked at what are the common challenges the developers are facing, and we tried to solve all these problems using Shape. So initially, when people are developing, now you are running multiple services in the same environment. So now your development laptop is getting more and more complicated. And you are running multiple language and multiple build packs out here. So you need to have something like multiple databases running on your laptop, multiple languages running on your laptop, and so that is making your laptop it's pretty heavy, and it is very difficult to make it like working on your laptop. So we look at this one problem at the development phase, and then when you are building, now you have multiple microservices. Now SDLC in older world would make it, you have SDLC admin sitting out here, configuring your pipeline and making things out there. But that model may easily break if you have like hundreds of microservices you are trying to configure using it. And each microservice is using different kind of languages, build pack, and they have different tooling requirement. If you have some administrator trying to make it like configure these things, soon it would become bottleneck. And finally, if you have different languages, they have their own packaging infrastructure, they have their own versioning infrastructure. So how are you going to like build and deploy this consistently? So those are kind of like changes which are microservices bringing into life. Finally, when you are deploying this information, now your deployment complexity is much more. Now, traditionally, operation people have one stack to deploy, and they just go ahead and deploy that stack with single load balancer, and that was working fine. But now every system is now kind of distributed system, and every system needs this service discovery. And they also need internal load balancing across different services. So now things are becoming more and more complicated out here. So we need solution for all this stuff. So now here we thought about all this problem and created a Shift. Shift is a hybrid DevOps platform which enables developer to easily build, deploy, and run containerized microservices. So solution we looked at is for your local development environment, we choose like what are the most popular tools that developers are using. So we started with VirtualBox and Vagrant, and in a single click you can create that complete environment which is like up and running for your laptop. And you can run multiple services with multiple backend in your laptop, and you can test it out. So that's your local environment is tested out. Now what we also do is we hosted the CICD pipeline on the Cisco cloud, and this CICD pipeline uses like Docker as a container to build your code, so that you don't have to go to administrator and say that you want to have this particular tool to be installed on my CI slaves, and you want to have like this particular testing tool to be installed. So all these you can define. This is my build pack container. Run and test this code within this container. So your code would be tested within that container. So you get the control in your hand as a developer, where I would be testing what tool I should be using in CI pipeline and this thing. And finally, for packaging and versioning of system, what we use is output of each of these pipeline is a Docker container. And with each commit, what we do is we tag each of your Docker container with a commit ID. And that gets pushed to a private repository hosted in Cisco Cloud, so that for each commit, for each microservices, you have a unique Docker container created as the output of pipeline. So that's how you get a CI pipeline working, and which is like. And finally, what we have is your deployment is also getting complicated. So we integrated the CI pipeline with our deployment infrastructure. What we built in is like a service discovery model where any new container that comes in can be registered with a unique URL, so that each services can talk to each other. We interlink these microservices together. And we also auto-configure load balancer whenever new, say if you have like 10 Docker container running in a service, if you create 20 more, then we have this 30 container running, and we auto-configure that load balancer so that you have now 30 services running and expose unique URL. So that's how you can link your microservices. finally, you can run your service. You have to run these containers somewhere. So we created a open source tool, which is Microservice infrastructure, which allows you to create a cluster, which is based on Mesos and Marathon, and it is hosted on Cisco Cloud. So you can have like inter-cloud deployment of these Mesos Marathon clusters. So you can say that I want to deploy like on 3 different nodes, one in Europe, one in US, and one in, let's say, Texas. And out of these 3 clusters, I want to set up my microservice infrastructure. And so you can deploy a containerized application across the globe using this infrastructure. And you can easily scale out, and we take care of like service discovery across the globe for this. For this, we are using console tool. So let's run through it, like how it looks like from end-to-end developer's perspective. So this is the UI. You come in, you log in using your GitHub credential, you start creating your project. Once you have project created, you start giving a name to project, and within that project, you can have multiple microservices. Each microservices will have one GitHub repository created for it. So now you can start defining your microservices, and once you give microservice name, what we do is we create a GitHub repository for you, and at the same time, we also set up your CICD pipeline for it. So this is done automatically for you. And what we also do is like we give you a single line command. If you cut copy paste this command onto your laptop, what you get is a single VM based environment where all your microservices and your backend services would be running, and they would be configured and you can get it up and running in like 5 minutes. So this is your local dev environment that gets up, and now you can reiterate, and once you are comfortable, you can go ahead. So this, like we looked at a CMX application, CMX API application, and so this application is also installed out here. Here you can see like where the people are, and they detect your location based on your mobile phone. And you can see these are the people where these guys would be going around in this hall. So this is their application that is hosted on Cisco Cloud using this microservice infrastructure. So once you are comfortable with your local dev environment, what you do is you do GitHub commit, and this would actually trigger a pipeline on our hosted CI platform. And you can go to UI, and you have event timeline, who committed what particular change, and you can also see the build logs of what happened during that build, what happened for that particular testing of that particular project. Once you are sure this is the build that you want to go, you can select this build environment, and you can create a new environment. Environment is something like logical entity, which should be, you can create multiple like dev, staging, production, and production 1, production 2 kind of environment. And those would be isolated, and once you select that build and deploy that particular build environment, we take care of like creating a unique URL for your application and configure all your backend services for it. And that's how like in Shift you can get like end-to-end from your code to your production with your development environment within 5 minutes kind of things. We are at booth 1 in cloud services. You can come there and visit us and see the live demo for it. Thank you.